Another week of football is rolling in, and the atmosphere around New England feels different, heavier, charged with expectation. When the season began, there was optimism, sure, but very few people genuinely believed this team would be standing where it is right now. Winning consistently changes everything. Confidence grows, standards rise, and suddenly every decision made by the coaching staff is placed under a sharper lens. That is exactly where the Patriots find themselves as they prepare for a tough matchup against Baltimore, knowing full well that every small adjustment could tilt the balance when facing a physical, disciplined opponent. What stands out immediately this week is how proactive the Patriots have been in addressing a clear issue from the previous game. This team did not wait around hoping problems would magically solve themselves. They identified a weakness, acknowledged it internally, and acted. Moving on from Caleb Murphy was not an emotional decision, nor was it about potential or background. It was about production and fit. At this stage of the season, roster spots are valuable, and sentiment cannot outweigh performance. The Patriots are in a position where every snap matters, and players who are not impacting the game consistently are going to be evaluated honestly. Bringing in Caleb Muma is a move that speaks volumes about how closely this organization studies the league. Players do not just appear on a 53-man roster by accident. When a team pulls someone from another practice squad and immediately gives them a roster spot, it is because there has been extended evaluation, film study, and internal discussion. Muma has been around strong linebacker rooms, learning systems that demand discipline, awareness, and physicality. That experience matters, especially for a Patriots defense that thrives when its second level is decisive and aggressive. The linebacker position has quietly become the hinge point for this defense. When things are functioning properly, opposing runners are met early, passing lanes are disrupted, and safeties are free to play downhill rather than constantly cleaning up plays. When things break down, the ripple effect is obvious. Seeing a safety lead the team in tackles might look impressive on a stat sheet, but it usually tells a different story on film. It suggests that runners are reaching the second and third levels far too often, forcing defensive backs into roles they should not consistently be filling. In the most recent game, that reality was impossible to ignore. There were stretches where the run defense struggled to hold its ground, and pass coverage underneath lacked the physical presence that usually defines this unit. The absence of Robert Spillane and Milton Williams loomed large. Spillane has been a stabilizing force all season, showing the ability to diagnose plays quickly, close gaps, and hold his own in coverage. Williams, before his injury, was finding his rhythm, pairing effectively with Christian Barmore to collapse running lanes and make life miserable for opposing offenses. When those two are on the field together, the entire defensive front operates differently. Linemen can be more aggressive, linebackers can trust the interior to hold, and the defense as a whole plays faster. Without them, everything becomes reactive instead of assertive. That is where the Patriots found themselves, and it is why the coaching staff had to respond. Sitting Spillane, even though he was active, was not a sign of hesitation. It was a sign of long-term thinking. This team is not focused on 1 week alone. It is focused on being healthy and complete when the games matter most. That context makes the addition of Muma even more logical. He is not being asked to transform the defense overnight or replace key leaders permanently. He is being brought in to add stability, depth, and competition at a position that has shown vulnerability. Competition has always been a cornerstone of Patriots football. When players know that roster spots and snaps are earned daily, urgency follows. Practice is sharpened, preparation improves, and performance often rises with it. There's also something to be said about how quickly this staff responded. Defensive-minded leadership tends to be ruthless in self-evaluation, and this week felt like a direct reflection of that mindset. Issues from the previous game were not brushed aside or blamed on circumstance. They were confronted. The Patriots saw where opposing offenses were finding success, especially later in the game, and made a move designed to prevent that pattern from repeating. Looking ahead, the matchup against Baltimore will test every aspect of this defense. Physicality, discipline, and tackling will be non-negotiable. The Ravens thrive on exploiting hesitation, particularly at the linebacker level. Any uncertainty in gap assignments or coverage responsibilities will be exposed quickly. That is why this roster move carries more weight than it might seem on the surface. It is about preparedness, about ensuring that if someone is not ready or unavailable, there is another option who understands the demands of the moment. Zooming out to the broader picture, the Patriots are firmly in the playoff conversation, and that alone shifts how every week is approached. This is no longer about development or evaluation for the future. This is about positioning, health, and momentum. With one of the best records in the conference, New England has earned the right to think bigger, even if the path to the top seed remains narrow. The margin for error is slim, but the opportunity is real. There's also an emotional element building around this team. Winning streaks create belief not just in the locker room, but among the fan base. Every week adds another layer to the story of this season, and every decision becomes part of a larger narrative. The Patriots are no longer sneaking up on anyone. Opponents are preparing for them seriously, knowing that this is a disciplined, well-coached team capable of controlling games when it plays to its identity. As the playoff picture begins to take shape, conversations naturally drift toward potential matchups and unfinished business. Certain opponents loom larger than others, whether because of past losses, missed opportunities, or stylistic clashes. Those thoughts linger in the background, even as the focus remains firmly on the next game. For now, the message inside the building is clear. Fix what needs fixing, protect key players, and keep stacking wins while the opportunity is there. As the season keeps unfolding, it becomes impossible to ignore how mature this Patriots team looks when compared to early expectations. This is not a group surviving on luck or short bursts of momentum. The consistency in preparation, the adjustments from week to week, and the willingness to make difficult roster decisions all point to a team that understands exactly where it stands in the larger landscape of the conference. That awareness is dangerous because it breeds confidence without tipping into complacency. When you look closely at the defensive identity of this team, it is clear that everything starts in the middle. Linebackers are asked to do a little bit of everything in this system. They have to read quickly, fill gaps with authority, and still be disciplined enough to drop into coverage without hesitation. When that balance is disrupted, opposing offenses gain rhythm. That is why the Patriots were so uncomfortable with what showed up on film in the second half of the last game. The breakdowns were not catastrophic, but they were consistent enough to demand attention. Adding another body to that linebacker room is as much about insurance as it is about improvement. Depth becomes critical late in the season, especially when the weather turns and games become more physical. Fatigue sets in, minor injuries pile up, and suddenly players who were not expected to contribute are thrust into meaningful roles. The Patriots have lived through that reality enough times to know that waiting until it is too late is not an option. Moves like this are often judged weeks later, not immediately, when they quietly prevent a larger problem. There's also an underlying message being sent to the rest of the roster. No position group is immune from evaluation. Winning does not buy comfort. Every player is expected to elevate his game because the standard has shifted. This team is not chasing respect anymore. It has it. Now, it is about sustaining it, which is far more difficult. Sustaining success requires constant self-correction, and that is exactly what is happening here. Offensively, the Patriots have done enough to complement the defense, controlling tempo and limiting mistakes. That balance is crucial as the postseason approaches. Playoff football is rarely about style points. It is about situational execution, field position, and composure under pressure. New England has shown flashes of all three, and that is why the conversation around this team feels different than it did a few months ago. The standings reinforce that feeling. Sitting near the top of the conference changes how opponents approach you. Every game becomes a measuring stick for the other side. Every mistake is magnified. Every weakness is studied. That is why internal discipline matters more now than ever. The Patriots cannot afford lapses in focus, especially against teams fighting for their own playoff lives. This stretch of the season is less forgiving, and experience matters. Looking ahead, the idea of postseason matchups naturally sparks debate. Certain teams present stylistic challenges, while others bring emotional weight tied to recent history. For New England, there's a growing sense that unfinished business is part of this journey. Losses that felt avoidable earlier in the year still linger, serving as reminders rather than regrets. Those memories shape preparation, sharpen focus, and fuel motivation when the margin between winning and losing narrows. There is something compelling about the way this team responds after being tested. Instead of unraveling, it recalibrates. Instead of pointing fingers, it adjusts roles and responsibilities. That resilience is often the difference between teams that make the playoffs and teams that make noise once they get there. The Patriots appear intent on being the latter. As the weeks tick down, health becomes the quiet priority behind every public decision. Holding players out, managing snap counts, and adding depth are all pieces of the same puzzle. The goal is not just to arrive in the postseason, but to arrive intact. That perspective explains many of the choices being made now, even if they seem conservative in the moment. Long-term thinking has always been a defining trait of successful teams, and New England is leaning heavily into that philosophy. Momentum is a powerful force in football, but it is fragile. The Patriots understand that it must be protected through preparation and execution, not hype. Every practice, every film session, every roster move is part of building towards something larger. The excitement surrounding this season is justified, but it is grounded in substance, not illusion. As the playoff picture continues to crystallize, the Patriots remain in control of their own narrative. Opportunities lie ahead, challenges loom, and expectations continue to rise. What makes this moment intriguing is not just where the team stands, but how it got here. Through calculated decisions, honest self-evaluation, and a commitment to fixing problems before they become patterns, New England has positioned itself as a legitimate contender, ready to embrace whatever the next phase of the season demands. What continues to separate this Patriots group from many others around the league is how intentional everything feels at this point in the season. Nothing looks rushed, nothing feels reactionary, and that calm confidence shows up on Sundays. Even when things do not go perfectly, the response is measured. There is no panic, no scrambling for answers, just a steady process built on preparation and trust in the system. That mindset becomes invaluable as games tighten and pressure increases. Defensively, the expectation is clear. This unit wants to dictate terms, not respond to them. It wants to force offenses into uncomfortable situations, into third downs that feel longer than they are, into mistakes created by discipline rather than gamble. That starts with physicality in the box and clarity in assignments. When linebackers are decisive, the entire defense benefits. Gaps close faster, passing lanes shrink, and the secondary can play aggressively instead of cautiously. That is the standard the Patriots are chasing every week. There's also a growing edge to how this team talks about itself internally. Respect is nice, but belief is better. This roster believes it can line up against anyone and compete for 4 quarters. That belief is earned through film, through repetition, through seeing corrections actually translate onto the field. It is one thing to talk about fixing mistakes. It is another thing to watch them disappear the following week. That is where confidence is born. As the schedule continues to narrow, every opponent brings a different challenge, and adaptability becomes the true test. Teams will try to attack perceived weaknesses, force uncomfortable matchups, and speed the game up. New England has shown it can adjust without losing its identity. That balance is rare. Many teams change too much and lose what makes them effective. The Patriots make small, calculated tweaks while keeping their core intact. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL and left fans across the United States in disbelief, the New England Patriots have reportedly set their sights on a bold and unprecedented acquisition. Josh Allen, the superstar quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the matter suggest that the Patriots front office is aggressively exploring ways to bring one of the league's most dynamic signal callers to Foxborough. Josh Allen has long been regarded as one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL, combining a rare mix of arm strength, athleticism, and leadership. His ability to turn broken plays into touchdowns, coupled with his fearlessness in high-pressure situations, has made him a cornerstone of the Bills' offense and a nightmare for opposing defenses. For the Patriots, who have been searching for a transformative figure to elevate their roster back to championship contention, Allen represents a potential game-changer capable of redefining the franchise's trajectory. Speculation surrounding the potential trade has ignited debates across sports media and fan forums. Some argue that acquiring Allen could instantly place the Patriots among the league's elite teams, creating a powerhouse that rivals the NFL's most dominant offenses. Others question the feasibility, noting the enormous price such a move would entail, from draft capital to player contracts. Analysts also wonder how Allen would fit into Bill Belichick's system, which has historically favored quarterbacks who excel in disciplined, methodical offensive schemes. Yet, if anyone can adapt to Belichick's strategic approach, Allen's combination of intelligence and versatility makes him a plausible candidate. Social media has erupted with reactions ranging from excitement to skepticism. Patriots fans are already envisioning a new era led by a quarterback capable of throwing deep bombs and orchestrating clutch comebacks, while Bills supporters are grappling with the possibility of losing a franchise icon. The ripple effects of such a trade would be felt far beyond New England and Buffalo, potentially altering the balance of power in the entire AFC and igniting a wave of roster shakeups across the league. While the details remain murky, the rumor alone underscores the Patriots' willingness to make bold, headline-grabbing moves in pursuit of glory. Whether Josh Allen will truly don the silver and blue of New England remains uncertain, but the mere suggestion has already fueled one of the most intriguing what-if scenarios in recent NFL history. As fans await further updates, one thing is clear. If this deal were to materialize, it would instantly become the story of the season, forever changing the landscape of professional football in America. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.